All right, let's be on the record in case number 2019 CR 1339, caption State of Kansas versus Anthony Leach. Would the parties announce their appearances, please?
May it please the court, Candace Alvarez appears on behalf of the state.
Your Honor, defendant appears in person via Zoom and through Craig Lubos as attorney.
All right, we are here set down today for a sentencing. Back on April 23rd, the parties appeared also by Zoom at that time, at which time the defendant changed his plea from one of not guilty to guilty. The court inquired and accepted that, ordered a pre-sentence investigation, and set it for hearing today. I've received that pre-sentence investigation. The critical findings are as follows. The primary offense of, I'm sorry, let me see. I was looking at somebody else's PSI. Let me make sure I have those dates correct. It was in fact April 9th when we were here before. All right. The primary count of conviction is one of attempted aggravated assault. That is a severity level 9 person felony. The defendant's criminal history score was found to be that of H as in Henry. That would leave him with a presumption of probation and a presumed underlying range of 6, 7, or 8 months. If he has to do that time, he'll be eligible for up to 20% good time credit and subject to a post-release supervision of 12 months. If he's granted probation today, it would be for a period of 12 months to court services. The second count of conviction is one of domestic battery. That is a Class B person misdemeanor. The defendant does not have a criminal history score for a misdemeanor, but the maximums for domestic battery are up to 6 months in jail and up to a fine of $1,000 with no presumptions either for or against probation. If he's granted probation today, it would be for a period of 12 months also to court services. I would ask you, Ms. Alvarez, first, did you have an opportunity to review the PSI, any additions, corrections, or challenges to those findings?
Judge, I have reviewed it. The only correction I have is that the offense date on the first page, it's to the right on the page. It has the date written as 1/25/2019. It should state 11/25/2019. But other than that, I have no other corrections or additions.
All right. Okay. Mr. Lubo, same question.
Yes, I did review it and it appears to be accurate, and I reviewed it with Anthony by telephone.
All right. And this is something I don't normally look for, the date of occurrence. I know it oh, there it is, the offense date. Okay, yeah. It looks like a typo and it was 11/25. And I think that's important. It needs to be amended because obviously when certain time periods run from the date of offense, that can come in to play. All right. With
and
that,
they did get it correct on the other count.
Right.
Okay,
So,
we'll correct that.
Thank you. With that change, given no other challenges or corrections, I will adopt the findings of the PSI for today's hearing. And Ms. Alvarez, I would hear any comments you have upon sentencing today.
Yes, Judge, I would just ask that you follow the plea agreement in this case. I think we both figured he would come back as presumptive probation, which he is. And so we would just ask for the standard number sentence, both counts run concurrent, and then leave to the discretion of the court any fines or fees.
All right. Let me ask you this. Part of the plea agreement was pay any restitution, if any. Is there a request from the state for restitution?
No, there is not, Judge.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Lubo, I'll hear your comments as to sentencing as well.
Your Honor, I would just ask that you adopt what Candace just outlined. We agree with that.
All right. Mr. Leach, now is your opportunity to tell me anything, if you wish to, in mitigation of your sentence today.
I have nothing to say, sir, except sorries and sorries and sorries. That's all.
All right. I appreciate
And
that.
Judge, there's
Yeah.
one other thing is in the PSI, I think somewhere in there said this was he does need to be screened for behavioral health court. He's requesting additional services, and probation department and I both think, and my client believe that would be suitable program for him to participate in.
I'll make part of the conditions of his probation that he be screened for inclusion in the behavioral health care court. All right. I do think that this was a well negotiated plea. I think it is a just and proper outcome for this case. So I'm going to follow the plea agreement. Therefore, for count one, the attempted aggravated assault, severity level 9 person felony with a criminal history score of H. The defendant will be sentenced to the standard range of 7 months in the Department of Corrections. If he has to do that time, he'll be eligible for up to 20% good time credit and subject to 12 months of post-release supervision. His application for probation today is considered and it is granted for 12 months to adult court services. One of the specific terms of that probation is that he be screened for behavioral health care court. As to count two, the domestic battery, a class B, not a person misdemeanor, he'll be sentenced to 6 months in the county jail. Once again, his request for probation is considered and it is granted for 12 months to court services. This count is ordered to run concurrently with count one. There is no, let's see. I did fail to mention, let's see, on the domestic battery, there is a mandatory minimum fine, I believe, of $200. Am I correct in that, Ms. Alcaraz?
Oh God, it's crazy.
Judge, I would refer to the PSI writer. I'm not entirely sure.
Ms. Ariola, am I correct? Is there a mandatory minimum fine of $200?
I believe you are correct, but I am trying to look really fast, switching screens. Yes, you are correct, Judge.
All right. Well, here's what I'm going to do with that. I'm going to assess the mandatory minimum $200 fine, but I'm not going to assess any attorney's fees. And that will more than make up for the $200 fine that is required by law. So I'm going to assess court costs, supervision fee. I'm going to waive attorney's fees and the bids application fee, which will save him more than the mandatory minimum fine. The fine, again, the minimum is $200 and he will be fined $200. All right. Mr. Leach, tell me this, and by the way, there's also a requirement of 48 consecutive hours in jail. I will find the defendant has already satisfied that requirement given the amount of time he spent pre-sentencing in custody. Mr. Leach, are you working?
Yes, sir.
All right. So here's a couple of things that aren't really great. Now, there is a requirement, since I think this is your first adult felony conviction and the first one in the last 15 years, that there is a database fee in which they have to collect your data or your DNA for this offense. And there's also a minimum fine of $200, the court costs and supervision fees, but I'm going to get rid of all your attorney fees on that, which kind of makes up for that. If I order payments, say I want to I want to make sure you're able to get this done before probation's done. Say $75 a month. Do you think that's something you could make?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm going to order payment to be $75 a month. As I said, court costs, supervision fee, no attorney fee, no bids fee, the KBI database fee, and the mandatory minimum fine of $200. All right. I do have some bookkeeping stuff, Mr. Leach, I need to tell you about. As a convicted felon, it's prohibited for you to own or possess a firearm and certain kind of deadly cutting instruments like dirks, daggers, switchblades, basically knives that can be considered deadly weapons. You understand?
Yes, sir.
You have 14 days from today to appeal anything you don't like about your sentence, and you may be able to seek expungement of these convictions after a period of time following successful completion of probation. With that, Ms. Alcaraz, have I failed to cover anything?
No, Judge, I do believe we've covered everything.
Mr. Lubo?
I believe we've covered everything too.
Then we will be adjourned. Let me stop the live stream. And then Mr. Leach,